Hi everybody, we're going to go ahead and take notes today on lesson 1.2 and 1.3 from the 7th grade Common Core. We're going to be adding and subtracting integers, but we are going to be doing it using a number line. There's two steps that you need to follow. The first one is to graph the first integer and go ahead and indicate that point on the number line simply with a dot. On the number line, not above, not below. The next thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to move right or left on the number line, the number of spaces as the integer that you're adding or subtracting. Let's start with our first example, -3 plus -6. I'm going to start by putting a point at -3. I've indicated it with a dot on the number line. I now need to decide, am I going to be moving left or right? -6 is going to go ahead and make it farther away from 0. So I'm going to move left 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really important that when I make those jumps or moves, they're the same length. So this is -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, -9. I have moved left 9 spaces, left 6 spaces for an answer of -9. On my next example, I have -5 plus 2. I'm going to graph -5. I'm going to put a dot on the number line. I then need to decide, am I going to be moving right or am I going to be moving left? Because I'm adding 2, I'm going to be moving right. 2 places closer to 0. So that would be -4, -3. I've moved 2 right 2 spaces. And my answer is -3. All right. The next example, I have -2 minus -3. Now in this one, it gets a little tricky. You're subtracting, so you would think that you would move to the left. But because you're subtracting a negative, it kind of cancels each other out. And it's the opposite of subtraction because a negative sign really means subtraction. So I'm going to do the opposite of subtraction, which is adding. And when I'm adding, I'm going to move 3 to the right. So I'm going to make my point at -2, and I'm going to move 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. So that's -1, that's 0, and 1. So my answer is +1. For my last one, I have 5 minus 7. Putting a dot at 5, a point to indicate I've graphed it, and then it's -7, so I'm going to move 7 left. Now I didn't add enough space, so I may have to make my spaces pretty small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did my best to make sure the spaces were the same. So I'm going to count backwards. That's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2. So my answer is -2. So let's do a recap. You graph the first number and then you make a decision. Are you moving left or right? When I added a negative, I moved left. When I added a positive, I moved right. When I subtracted a negative, I moved right because subtracting a negative is the opposite of subtraction because there's the 2 negatives there, so I moved right. I subtracted a 7, so I moved left. Remember, when you're watching the videos, start and stop to make sure you've gotten all the notes. Thanks, and have a good one.